Mr. Bloodworth, the state's next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state calls Carmen Lauber.
It is Thursday, it's February 26th. I expect today to just pop off the way that the other days have, because I said at the beginning of this trial, oh, look how lovely all the pretrial stuff has been. It's all been so normal. Nothing's been normal so far in this trial, especially yesterday with an unexpected end to the day with no explanation. We have no idea what happened. There was I need an hour for a scheduling thing, and then it was everybody's going home for the day. It's no fault of the parties. We're just going home for the day. We'll see if we find out more today. We might have to wait till sidebars, if that's even put on the sidebar.
And the copper cups, you actually found them, right?
We found several, correct.
And where were they when you found them?
I believe on the first one, some were located upstairs in the kitchen.
And they were tested, I'm sure.
Yes.
All right. And so if Ms. Richins, in any of her interviews, stated that they had a gift of copper cups and had a drink that night, you found something that corroborated that part of her story, correct?
We found copper cups, correct.
All right. And if Ms. Richins gave interviews that said that her husband may have taken a gummy that night, you found gummies that could have corroborated that part of her story, right?
We found gummies, yes.
And if she said that she pulled him on a sheet off onto the ground to try to start CPR, you found a sheet that corroborated that part of her story.
Correct.
And you measured the distances between the bedroom, between the children's rooms, not the whole house, but a good part of the house. And so there were steps that were recorded on her phone that were consistent with her moving around the house prior to calling 911, correct?
Correct.
Was there ever a time where you were conducting a search because the private investigator had revealed to law enforcement that there were items worthy of going back to the house for?
Yes.
How many times did that happen?
At least one that I recall.
All right, I want to talk about that one time. Does that involve the letter that was recovered from the bed?
Okay, there's two.
Okay, 2 times. So tell me about the first one that you remembered.
I believe it was a voice recording or a recording device that was located.
And you all got information from a private investigator that had been in the scene on the house that he'd found something he thought you wanted to see.
Correct.
And so you issued a warrant and went and picked it up.
I did not issue the warrant, but somebody else did.
Of course. I'm sorry, that's inaccurate. A warrant was issued and
Correct.
You guys went in. All right, and the second time, what did that involve?
A letter that was located.
And the letter that was located in this search, and do you remember the date of the search? Want me to refresh your memory?
If you could, yes, please.
Sure, no worries. 11/7/24.
Okay.
Your purple day. It's your purple dot day. My understanding is a letter was recovered on the foot of the bed, of Eric's side of the bed.
Correct.
Now, the jury has seen multiple photos from that night where there's clearly no letter on that bed.
Correct.
And there were several, at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 searches prior to November of 24 where that letter was not seen on the bed, right?
Correct.
And that included walkthroughs of defense counsel, walkthroughs of prosecution team, you doing Matterport videos where there's no letter on the foot of the bed, right?
Correct.
And then when all of a sudden, when you guys get there in November, there's this letter on the bed.
Yes.
Right. And you took that into evidence.
Yes, we did.
And in this case, what did you find in the confirmatory test?
Fentanyl and norfentanyl.
Okay, and did the confirmatory test identify levels?
Yes, so fentanyl was reported at 15 nanograms per milliliter and norfentanyl at 3.3 nanograms per milliliter.
What is norfentanyl?
Norfentanyl is a metabolite of fentanyl. So when your body is trying to eliminate drugs, they'll break them down into a different form called metabolites sometime that are easier for the body to excrete. So it's inactive, it doesn't cause any effects, but it just shows that some fentanyl has been metabolized to norfentanyl.
Did you screen for hydrocodone?
Yes.
And did the screen identify anything for further testing?
No.
Any other opioids tested in the screening?
Yes.
And any others besides fentanyl positive for further testing?
No.
Does the literature say, identify what is a lethal dose of fentanyl?
So studies are published that provide concentrations of drugs found where it's been determined that fentanyl contributed to the death. So there are studies that give these concentration ranges, yes.
And does it vary from person to person?
Yes, so based on an individual's history of use with the drug, they might have a tolerance to it, which means that you might need a higher concentration to obtain the same desired effect. And it also means that you might need a higher concentration from someone, a chronic user, compared to a naive user for that drug to cause their death. So it can vary what is a lethal concentration for individual to individual.
For a person who has never taken fentanyl before, what is the literature say is a lethal dose?
So just in general, the lowest reported concentrations of fentanyl are 3 nanograms per milliliter, where it's been contributed to their death.
Okay, so in this case we had 15.
Correct.
Which is 5 times that.
Correct. In October of 2022, the client requested that we perform an alcohol and drug screen on the gastric fluid.
And did you do that?
Yes.
Did, following that screen, did you get positive results for which you subsequently performed confirmatory tests?
Yes.
Okay, can you tell us about those?
Yes, so ethanol was detected at 279 milligrams per deciliter. Quetiapine was detected at 16,000 nanograms per milliliter. Fentanyl was detected at 20,000 nanograms per milliliter. Norfentanyl was detected at 52 nanograms per milliliter. And acetal fentanyl was detected at 29 nanograms per milliliter.
We haven't heard about acetal fentanyl. What is that?
Acetal fentanyl is a fentanyl analog, so it's
This
similar
is
in
important.
structure, but
Important
it's an
info.
illicit drug. So there's no prescription pharmaceutical drug where it's going to be prescribed. It's solely illicit.
So for purposes of an analyst or a criminal investigator, that would be a marker that this came from a source, this fentanyl came from a source that was illicit.
You could provide that interpretation, yes.
Okay.
I mean, they could have just had acetal fentanyl and maybe a fentanyl prescription, but often when you see acetal fentanyl, it's an indication that the fentanyl was illicit.
Okay. This 279 milligrams per deciliter of ethanol, I want to go into that. First of all, how much alcohol is that in layman's terms, like in order of, say, shots of liquor or 12-ounce beers or whatever?
You end up with around 1,900 milligrams of ethanol versus a standard drink of ethanol is 14,000 milligrams. So it's well below the amount that you would find just in
Okay.
one standard drink of ethanol.
That's interesting.
Is there another possible source for this alcohol than alcoholic beverage?
Yes, so it's known that if you have a source of
Decomp.
glucose and bacteria, that ethanol can be formed post-mortem. So the bacteria convert glucose, because it's carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, just like ethanol. It can convert glucose into ethanol. And so obviously, like in gastric contents, you might have a source of glucose if there's food there, and then your stomach naturally has bacteria. So this postmortem formation can occur either in the body prior to sample collection, but it could also happen in the collection container because often they don't have a preservative that would inhibit the bacteria from doing this process.
That's interesting.
Of postmortem formation of ethanol.
So was it mostly
Is
Moscow
there
Mule?
any way you could
Or mostly ginger
chemically
beer?
identify whether it's this post-mortem decomposition or vodka?
Not in the testing that we performed.
Can you tell us, based on your knowledge of the
Interesting.
volume in the gastric fluid,
Yeah, I want to know about the volume too.
anything about this quetiapine?
Oh, I thought we
How
were
much
going to still talk about the alcohol. Okay.
pill, if you will, would be there, or a dosage?
Right. So again, you would
Okay.
take the concentration, the 16,000 nanograms per milliliter, multiply it times the total 700 milliliters, and you get a very large number, but drugs are given typically in milligram doses, and there's
Okay.
a million nanograms in 1 milligram, right? So after you do that math, it ends up being 11 milligrams of quetiapine.
And so,
Interesting.
is it that
I really like the way she
16,000
explains.
come to equal a standard dosage, prescription dosage?
I would say it's less than a standard dosage. I mean, it depends on a person's prescription, but typically like 75, 100, 250 milligrams of quetiapine might be prescribed.
But if it's not
versus
your prescription,
Our calculation was 11 milligrams.
So it's possible that there was postmortem decomposition, but it's equally possible that he took a drink before bed, correct?
Correct.
do you see where we're going with that question? Right to the doubt
How long
part?
after taking a drink of alcohol?
If two things are equally possible, the jury's going to get an instruction. If two things are equally possible, you have to pick the one that points towards not guilty. She's laying the groundwork for that. And I think laying the groundwork for that well.
Well, is it fair to say alcohol takes about 10 to 15 minutes to hit the bloodstream?
Again, it depends on the stomach and if it's full or not. So if you have an empty stomach, then the alcohol can get to the intestines faster, which is where the majority of the absorption occurs. So yeah, maybe 15, 30 minutes if your stomach is empty. But if you have delayed gastric emptying, then it might take longer.
You got to put down the food layer.
Concentration.
The food layer.
Peak alcohol concentration.
Yeah,
but
for some alcohol to be in the blood, sure. 15, 30 minutes.
within 30 minutes.
Yes.
And some fentanyl would be in the blood probably within 30 minutes of ingestion.
That's an interesting question.
Again, yeah, within 15 to 60 minutes in general, yes.
So, if Mr. Richins had fentanyl in the blood, but not alcohol,
Good question.
a real possibility, is that he ingested the fentanyl and then took a drink, give or take maybe 30 minutes later. Maybe less, 15 to 30 minutes after he took the fentanyl. Fair assumption, correct?
It's a good question.
I can't provide a timeline of when things were ingested. Some of it is, you say, take a drink. Did you take a sip? That might not even become measurable in the blood. Or how long did he live after the alcohol was consumed, and the body could have just metabolized it below our threshold for reporting. So I can speak generally about both. Yes, can be absorbed and be present in the blood within the 15, 30 minutes.
I want to talk about the quetiapine for a minute. Now, quetiapine is not naturally produced in the body after someone dies, right?
Correct.
So he
Correct.
had to have ingested quetiapine.
Correct.
And it appears that it was not a very high dose. You said it was probably a fairly low dose of quetiapine
In the gastric, yes.
in the gastric. And again, the quetiapine had not made it to the blood. He died before there was a chance for the quetiapine to make its way into his blood. Correct?
There was no quetiapine above our threshold for performing a confirmation test.
Well, you couldn't measure any quetiapine in the blood. True?
No.
You did measure some in the blood.
Yes.
And where's that in your report?
It wasn't above our threshold for reporting or
Interesting.
performing a confirmation test.
Maybe my question wasn't clear.
No, your question was clear. You're just not going to get the answer that you
quetiapine
like.
he took, there was not a measurable, reportable amount in his blood.
That is correct.
The
That's
fentanyl
correct.
he took, there was.
That is correct.
The fentanyl had made its way to his blood prior to him passing.
That is correct.
The quetiapine had not.
Not above a concentration
That's not
that
accurate.
would be reported by us.
Not even in a concentration that you noted in any way.
Correct.
So it is possible that he took the fentanyl and then
anything's
later
possible.
took the quetiapine. That's a possibility.
Sure.
I am surprised by how clunky things are working this morning. The questioning has felt clunky. The starting and stopping and sidebarring has felt clunky. Things have not felt smooth. Pulling out the point of different testimony is getting a little bit lost in all of the clunkiness. And trying to keep up with the defense saying things like, oh, well, on April 12th, no, it was April 13th. Shit, what day are we talking about? It is not smooth. It has been a little hard to follow. The thing is, by the time we're done with this trial, the things that are happening today, a lot of them are just going to be part of closing argument, because a lot of what we've done so far is laying foundation. We have had a number of foundational witnesses come in and testify. And at the end there, we saw someone from a different lab that was testing items. What items? I don't know, because nobody ever asked what items were tested, but tested items for traces of fentanyl and found none. But what was interesting about that is whether the lab had that empty hydrocodone bottle that the defense is now talking a lot more about that had gone to the ME's office, and whether that was tested. And he said it was not tested. So I'm interested to see if this is just a red herring, or if the defense has found that the gummies are maybe not going to be the thing and Gummygate is over. And now there's this empty hydrocodone bottle. And now it's like, oh, that's the thing they didn't test. See, they could have. Earlier in the day, when on day 3 of testimony from the crime scene analysts that was out, we did see the defense asking what I thought they were going to ask. Couldn't you have asked Kouri Richins for permission to search? Couldn't you have searched more? Couldn't you have looked for the gummies? What else might you have missed? And we saw that line of questioning that I thought that we were going to see. And I think the prosecution has done a good job in that questioning of tying it back around about why you would go back out numerous times. But then the witness said, well, anything that we missed. And I'm like, ooh, that's going to be tough, because generally they're getting new search warrants. It's not like, oh, we forgot something. They're getting new search warrants based on new information. I suspect, my speculation, I suspect a lot of that new information is being developed not just by witness interviews, but by jail calls. And so as they develop and learn new things, or something that they might not have appreciated the significance of, which I guess you could say missed, but went back round, got another search warrant, and then went and got it. I'm still curious about that letter, the one at the end of the bed from the search in like October or whatever. That's still noted. And maybe the rest of the day will go smoother. There were some clunky bits. I was so excited for the toxicologist. I think the toxicologist was great testimony. I think it's going to get kind of lost for the jury as other things come in. And it's one of those things when we get back to closing, I imagine there will be moments of good, oh, that's where we're tying this back to, because we are still in the very early days of a very long trial, even though it feels like we have lived here for 9,000 years. I understand. Leonard, a huge thank you to today's sponsor, Gusto, for not only sponsoring our show, but also for taking care of Team Baker's payroll, HR, and all of the other stuff that goes with having employees in multiple different states. So no matter what size your business, or you just have one employee that's you and you need to make sure you run payroll, Gusto has you covered. Gusto is online payroll and benefits software built for small businesses. It's all-in-one, remote-friendly, and incredibly easy to use, so you can pay, hire, onboard, and support your team from anywhere. Plus, they do all the things that you need, like automatic payroll, tax filing, and simple direct deposits. You can take care of health benefits, commuter benefits, workers' comp, 401ks, you name it. And it runs unlimited payroll for one monthly price. No hidden fees or surprises, and it's not constantly changing. And Gusto has access to certified HR experts to help and support your business through whatever you need, because you probably don't need them all the time. But when you do, you do. It's no wonder that they are the #1 payroll software according to G2 for fall 2025 and trusted by over 400,000 small businesses, including Baker Media. So try Gusto today at gusto.com/EDB and get 3 months free when you run your first payroll. That's 3 months of free payroll at gusto.com/EDB. One more time, gusto.com/EDB. Now let's get back to it.
I already knew Eric had passed away, but when they had mentioned that it was from an overdose, that hit hard.
Yeah, I bet.
Only for the fact that if that's what happened, I needed to step up and take accountability of my part in this that happened and what I was asked for.
Ma'am, did you know Kouri Richins?
Yes,
How did you know her?
I worked for her aunt for LTD's personal house cleaning.
And as part of working for Kouri Richins' aunt's house cleaning business, did you clean Kouri Richins' home?
Yes, every other Friday, unless she needed an extra clean or a deep clean.
About how long did you know Kouri Richins?
I worked for her aunt for 9 years.
And did you
It's a long
know
time.
Kouri Richins that whole 9 years?
Yes, we got to know each other throughout the years.
Did Kouri Richins ever ask you to purchase for her illicit drugs?
Yes,
How many times?
4.
Did you
Oh.
purchase illicit drugs for her?
Yes,
How many times?
Oh,
4.
When
4 you say.
purchased illicit drugs for Kouri Richins the first time, who did you purchase the drugs from?
Susan Kohler.
When you purchased Kouri for Kouri Richins drugs the second time, who did you purchase the drugs from?
Robbie.
By Robbie, do you mean Robert Crozier?
Yes,
How about the third time?
Robbie.
The fourth time?
Robbie.
What, if anything, did you ask Robert Crozier for?
If he knew anybody who had any pills, pain pills for sale,
And how did he respond?
he said he would reach out to a couple of people.
Did he ever get back to you after that?
Yes, he did.
When he got back to you, what did he say?
He said he had a buddy that had some fentanyl pills.
What then did you do?
I had texted Kouri back and told her that I had a friend that could get them, but they were fentanyl pills.
So you told Kouri you had a friend, a hookup for fentanyl pills.
Yes.
How did Kouri Richins respond?
She said, okay, go ahead and get them.
So you said there was ultimately this third buy from Robert Crozier. Did Kouri Richins give you the money up front for the third buy?
Yes, it was the Midway house still.
Was it the same way she?
Same little house in Midway,
Okay.
back door.
Did you enter the back door of that little
Yes.
house in Midway?
Yes,
Did you get some money?
yes.
Do you remember about how much?
About $1,000.
Was it cash?
Yes,
Was it cash the other time also?
yes.
What did you set up with Robbie over text?
Just saying, hey, does your friend still have any of those left? And then of course, it doesn't happen right then and there. I could text him and he'd say, I'll get back to you in a couple of days, I'll see what I can find out. So then when Robbie texted me back, I let Kouri know that I could get him, and then head back down, had Nancy take me once again down Provo Canyon to the Maverick on 126th.
Just like the time before.
Yes,
Like before, were you texting with Robert Crozier on the way down the canyon?
yes.
And what was the content of those texts?
Same texts are how much longer, how far out are you? Because he always had to find a ride.
Are
as
we there
well.
yet?
Were you texting on the way down Provo Canyon with Kouri Richins?
Yes.
What was the content of those texts?
Same thing. Sorry it's taken long. I don't know how long it's going to take, but I'll keep you posted.
When you arrived at the Maverick, were you still texting with both Robert Crozier and Kouri Richins?
Yes, I would text Robbie and tell him I'm here at the Maverick. How much farther out are you?
And what would you text
I would
Kouri
text
Richins?
Corey, sorry he's taken longer than I thought.
And you deleted all of those texts?
Of course.
Did you ultimately meet up with Robert Crozier at the Draper that second time?
Yes.
What happened when you met up?
Same routine. He'd come up to the car, I'd give him the money, he'd leave again for 20, 25 minutes, then he'd come back. And then he'd give me the little clear baggie with pills in it, and then we'd go our separate ways.
Can you please describe the baggie?
Clear little baggie. Just a small little clear baggie. As if you were putting an extra button in it.
Same as
Bottom
last
shirt.
time?
Yes.
Do you recall about how many pills?
15 to 20. I never stopped and counted them, but that's what he told me was in the baggie. It was one of Doreen's employees that had told me that Eric had passed away.
And do you recall
That's the
how
aunt.
soon after Eric's death she told you that?
It was a day or two after.
Did you ever speak with Kouri Richins about Eric's death?
Yes, I did.
Interesting.
A couple days after.
Where were you when you spoke with Kouri Richins the first time about Eric's death?
I was with my friend Nick, and we were on our way to do a UA for drug court.
Is Nick Bon Savage?
Yes, it is.
And the UA again is a urinalysis.
All right. We now know who Bon Savage is. After Eric passes, she's with the Bon Savage, and they're going to do a drug test, and that's when she learns that Eric has died.
Yes, it is.
So you and Nick were together. Were you on a way? Were you driving to the UA?
Yes.
When you had that conversation with Kouri Richins about Eric's death, were you on speakerphone?
Yes.
Oh,
Could Nick hear the conversation?
Yes.
okay.
Did you ask Kouri Richins about Eric's death?
Yes, I did.
What did you ask her?
I said, please tell me these pills were not for him.
Oh boy.
Did she respond?
She did.
How did she respond?
She said, no, they were not. Eric passed away from a brain aneurysm.
Did there come a time after that conversation when Kouri Richins again asked you to purchase drugs from her?
Yes.
How did she ask?
She asked me if I still had the hookup or my friend.
At the January 28th drug court, they said you had tested positive for methamphetamine.
Yes.
And you said, no, retest it, that's not true. I didn't use.
Yeah.
But then the next week, you came back and you said, well, actually, I did use. You don't need to retest it, I relapsed. Which happens.
Well, yes.
So she
working
took
with active
responsibility
users,
for it.
Once again,
Yeah.
with the cleaning company, they were all still active users.
Well, but it was
And
your
then-
choice to use.
Absolutely, but if you keep getting offered and offered, and as a drug addict, yes, obviously you're going to relapse. You're going to
All right.
fold.
And you lied about it.
Yes,
All right.
And then,
that's what addicts do when you're using.
That's true, addicts lie. As we move into March of 22, you tested positive for methamphetamine February 11th, March 1st, and March 3rd, and March 16th, correct?
I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, it was there. It's from drug court notes, yes.
So if it's, I'm sorry, I didn't
No,
mean to
you're
like
good.
poke you with that.
You're fine.
So, well, if it's in here, it's accurate.
Yes.
All right, so this whole time that you say you remember purchasing drugs, all these text messages.
right, this is going to
you
go
were
to
high.
memory.
I'm sorry, what was that? Sorry.
This whole period of time that you just testified, that you say you remember all these texts and you remember all this information from March of 2022, you were high that whole time, February, March 22.
Not the whole time, no.
You were using very regularly.
Yes, well, yes.
But in that very first meeting, Detective O'Driscoll and Detective Maynard say, hey, we're not here to jam you up, though. We want to talk to you.
I don't recall the exact words, but yes, they were there to talk to me.
And if those weren't the exact words, it was words to, we don't want you to get in more
Words to
trouble.
that effect?
We want to talk to you. Words to that effect?
Yes.
All right. And that's when they tell you that they think Kouri Richins poisoned her husband, Eric Richins, and they think that she killed him.
I don't think that was their exact words.
All right, well, I'm not necessarily using their exact words, but they give you that information.
Yes.
All right. And that he died of a fentanyl overdose.
Yes, they did inform me that he died of an overdose.
And that was the first time you'd heard that. True?
From the officer, yes.
Well, from anyone, that he died of an overdose.
No.
Where did you
When
hear
the
that
Doris
before?
Workers were driving down the road. It was Nancy. She had yelled out the window. She's like, Eric died of an overdose. And that's when I had made the phone call to Kouri asking if, please tell me those weren't for him.
Okay.
What?
You never told the officers that story, did you?
Not till later, I don't think.
Well, not in these 7 interviews, correct?
Yeah, correct.
All right. During this interview, they're still telling you you might be going to prison here.
Yes,
But that's not going to happen. We talked about that as long as you help them out, correct?
correct.
And by helping them out,
covered
they tell
this.
you that means you need to give us the details to make sure Kouri gets convicted of murder, correct?
I don't think they said
I
that.
don't know if that's their exact words.
Can we pull up Defense Exhibit 1032?
I mean, if it's their exact words, I would love to know.
They are looking for, and this is going to be upsetting, but let me finish. They're looking to pull your drug court deal and ask for 7 years on your 2 firsts. 5 years for the one felony, and then a 40% portion for the second, for 7 years.
Okay.
The only exception to that, and the only thing that they're willing to kind of help you out with, is if you can help us out with this.
And by help, he means like, give us the details that will ensure Kouri gets convicted of murder.
Oh, he does say that.
This day, you said, how else did I get fentanyl in my head? Right?
Correct.
Ms. Lauber, isn't it fair to say you got fentanyl in your head from Detectives O'Driscoll and Maynard? They're the ones that put fentanyl in your head.
No.
Really?
Yeah.
Because up till this point in the interview, you said, no fentanyl. I don't deal in fentanyl. I didn't get her fentanyl. I got her Roxy's. I got her Oxys. Oh, she asked for Michael Jackson drugs. Oh, I guess I got her fentanyl. How else would fentanyl be in my head? Right? That's what's happened up to this point.
Correct.
And the only person up to this point who has put the word fentanyl in your head are these detectives, correct?
Mm.
Ms. Lauber, you're on the stand. At that point, they are the ones.
We know she's on the stand.
Ms. Lauber, you're on the stand. At that point, they are the ones that told you it was fentanyl.
They're the ones that told me that Eric passed away from fentanyl.
They're the ones that put the word fentanyl in your head.
They're the ones that told me that that's where Eric passed away from.
Finally, at the end of this interview, where you've said, and I'm not going to go through it all again, we've been through all the different things you said like 3 times. You said to them, just write it all down and I'll sign it.
I don't recall saying that.
Page 183.
It's because the insinuation is not accurate to what actually transpired, and that's why she's like, I
yes.
don't remember that.
You did. You said write it all
There's
down.
different
and I'll sign it."
context.
They wanted me to write it, and I didn't want to write.
No, they didn't want you to write it. You asked them to write it all down for you and you'll sign it. Because to their credit, they said, well, no, that's not how this works.
Your Honor, Jackson.
To what?
He
What the fuck was that? What the fuck was that? Bloodworth says, Your Honor, objection. And she says, to what?
No,
It
the
is
question-
argumentative.
All right. I'll
You
say it in a
can,
nicer tone.
You
They-
have to ask a question.
They told you, or I'm sorry, you told them,
Even Corey's like, damn, bitch.
So the question, Ms. Lauber, just so we can move on from here, is whether the transcript shows
It
what
says
Ms.
yes.
Lewis states.
Can you guys write it and I can sign it?
thank you.
So, during an afternoon recess, a juror passed a note to one of the bailiffs that read, quote, Judge, I'm having a little trouble with the handwriting, so bear with me here. Are there members of the audience in the courtroom that are sketching members of the jury, question mark?
Oh.
Is that allowed without consent? Question mark. It is distracting and a concern. Please advise. In response
boy.
to this note, court staff confirmed that there was a member of the spectators that was in fact sketching jurors and identifying the sketches by
Oh.
juror number. That sketchbook
Oh.
was confiscated. The sketches of the jurors were removed from the sketchbook. That person has been removed as a spectator, will not be allowed back in. We cannot have anyone doing anything to identify the jurors in any way. And then the jurors were informed by a bailiff, not by me, that we responded in that way, so they do not have to speculate about whether that's continuing.
This has been a wild day in court. First of all, the cross-examination of Carmen Lauber is a lot. The disorganization makes it difficult to keep up. There are times when the defense says, oh, but you said this in the transcript. And then when it's read out, the words do not match one to one, which is confusing and frustrating. So the witness is very hesitant to answer anything because now it's clocked over and over again that what Miss Lewis is saying and what is written on the page are not the same thing. And then we have insinuations that are not the same. But then we also have some very good questions buried in the middle of what the fuck is happening. So I'm going to get to the good points first that I can remember before I get to the rage points of what the fuck is happening. So good points that were made. One, law enforcement in the interview said essentially, we're going to need you to give us all this information so we can convict Kouri Richins of murder. We're going to need you to ensure that we can pin her for murder. I'm summarizing a bit, but the word ensure was absolutely in there. It's been a very long day. That was what are we doing? I think the arguments, I say arguments because a lot of the questioning was argumentative, but the defense was building on you witness never said fentanyl. Law enforcement said that to you first, and then you agreed with them. So you weren't the one bringing up fentanyl, they were. And the witness stood her ground and said, no, I asked the contact, Robbie, if he had pain pills. He came back to me and said he had fentanyl, which I don't think is what he's going to testify to, but we will see. He came back to me and said he had fentanyl. I went to Kouri Richins and asked if that was okay, and she said yes. And then I told him yes, and then I went and got it. But it was clear that Kouri never asked for fentanyl. Kouri asked for that Michael Jackson stuff. Kouri asked for something stronger. Kouri never said, get me fentanyl. There was much confusion about that. She also talked about the fact that this witness was facing years to life and years to life. And then when we saw the interview, they were saying, okay, look, I need you to stay with me. They're talking about 7 years. Defense counsel was like, it's going to be 5 to life plus 5 to life plus 5 to life plus, plus, plus. And the law enforcement gets in there and is like, I need you to listen to us. They're looking at 7 years. And I'm like, those two things aren't the same at all. And that's where parts of this cross were really difficult for me, because trying to be shady makes me question everything that you're asking, even when making a good point, because there's no trust there. When a lawyer has a really well prepared and really good impeachment, you believe the lawyer's questions more than you believe the witness's answers. And for me, that's not what's happening in this cross. For me, I don't understand the questions. I don't trust that the questions are representing things accurately. And then I'm confused. And then the witness seems confused. And so I'm not thinking that the witness is misstating. I'm thinking that the witness is confused as fuck because I'm confused as fuck. So I'm not looking at the witness going, sure, Jan. I'm looking at the lawyer going, is that correct? Because I don't trust that that's correct. And the judge clocked Miss Lewis several times during cross and said, is there a question? And there were times that the line of questioning is a good line of questioning. If the witness has a lot to lose and law enforcement is coming to her and is like, we're going to just lock the door and throw away the key unless you say everything we want to say, that is a good line of questioning. Bring that up. But if you're saying, ma'am, you're facing all of the years in the world, and then law enforcement comes in and says, look, so it's 7. Those are not the same. And then you go into this witness's background with addiction and use and arrests for drug possession and dealing and the rest of it. And then are like, oh, you weren't doing well in drug court, so you were going to lose your drug court. And the witness is saying, I would do anything to not lose my drug court. And then Miss Lewis starts saying, oh, but you would do anything to convict Kouri Richins. Those two things also aren't the same. And then there's times when it seemed that what the witness was explaining was, tell me what you need me to do, not tell me what you need me to say. Do you need me to agree to a statement? Do you need me to go to court? What do I need to do? Practical, not, well, what should I say? That's how it came off to me. I don't know if that's how it's going to come off to anyone else, because I'm following this cross-examination from a lawyer perspective, and others might be following it differently. I think that those areas of argument will be good. Okay, you kind of said you weren't using, but during this time that these things were going on, you were using. Does that impact your memory? Fair. But the way that she then went about it was wild. And then she asked the witness about any mental health concerns. When the witness is like, no, she's like, but haven't you been on medication for anxiety? She goes, yeah, but I'm not anymore. Aren't you on medication today? No. Okay. Do you have any learning disabilities? And the witness is like, yes. She asked her what they were, and she said no. And then they started getting into it a little bit more, which lays the groundwork for later on in the questioning when it seems that the witness is telling law enforcement, will you write my statement? And the witness's answer in that line of questioning was, I wanted them to write my statement down and I would sign it. They wanted me to write it down. And I didn't want to write it down. And Miss Lewis kept trying to say, no, you said just write it and I'll sign whatever, insinuating, tell me what to say, I'll sign it. Whatever you want me to say, name on the dotted line. And the witness was trying to clarify, no, I wanted them to write my statement. I did not want to handwrite it. She's in custody when this is happening. Gee, I wonder why. And then as we're getting into very argument of questions around that line of questioning, the prosecution objects, and Miss Lewis, you can hear her on the mic, goes, to what? Pardon me. And the court's like, well, it's argumentative. And then she claps back at the court with, I'll adjust my tone. And the court claps back with, you should ask a question. And then the camera pans to Kouri Richins, and Kouri Richins is trying to swallow a laugh at the judge clocking her lawyer. Absolutely wild choices made in cross, where there are areas of cross that would be incredibly valid. But I feel that the defense has flamed out in so many different areas in this cross that those points might get lost. They might not. But it was disorganized. There were questioning in it that was not like, I mean, that's a rough line of questioning. That's tough, but I see why you're going there. There were points that felt needlessly pointed, personal, shaming and blaming versus raising incredibly valid points, testing memory and testing motivation. Whenever somebody has an immunity deal, you absolutely have to test their motivation. Sure. But there's ways to do it. And some of the things that were done in that cross don't sit well with me. I'm sure they don't sit well with many of you. And I don't think they're going to sit well with the jury, but we're going to have to wait and see. And then the jury goes out for the day. The witness goes out for the day. And the judge has to let the lawyers know that the jury sent a note because they clocked somebody in the audience sketching them. A juror wrote a note saying someone was sketching us. Is that allowed? That seems concerning. And the judge said, this is what we did. We confiscated the sketchbook, and in fact, jurors were being sketched and identified by number. We confiscated the sketchbook and we removed the person from the courtroom, and they will be barred from coming back. So I guess day 4 was a sketchy day in court. Thanks for joining me. If you enjoyed this episode and don't want to miss updates on your favorite cases, you're going to need the Law Nerd app at lawnerd.app.com. That way you can stay in the loop on the cases that matter most to you, and you never know when you're going to catch feelings for a new case. So make sure you get it for free on iOS and Android. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being a Law Nerd.